Okay, guys, I'm back. I am so sorry about that. I don't know what's going to happen because of the fact that I had so much wildness going on. So, gosh, dang it. I guess I learned a lot about YouTube today. Let me see if people I have no views. Uh, I've got one viewer. Okay, I'm back, guys. So, let me just throw up some fair use disclaimers. Let me go let my audience know that I have left my own stream. This is wild today. Oh, of course. Of course. Why would it be any different? Okay. Oh my goodness. That was wild, everybody. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I hope I can get my audience back. Oh yeah. I know. Hey Cody, I wanted to thank you for your super chat. I did not realize that, and this is a learning curve for me because I generally set everything public for StreamYard, but I wanted to make a thumbnail and I wanted to do a lot of different things for the stream. And so I just set it as private. And I guess I didn't change it before I went live because I didn't realize I had privated it. And if you're private, it doesn't allow you to see any messages. Oh, that was a learning curve. So I'm glad you guys are all here. And oh, thank you, Cody. Thank you. And Junebug is and I'm happy to see the chat. I'm like, well, I'll just talk to an empty chat. That's okay. God. All right. Since I'm back. Hey, everyone. I love to interact. So I'm hoping all my souls come back over here. Oh my goodness, that was wild. That was a learning curve for me. Anyway, let me not keep going on about it. Junebug is snoring heavily at the moment because of the fact that she has been to the puppy park today. And so she is snore away. So yeah. Thank you guys. I mean, yeah. Chim's views are down. And his breakfast, I mean, it's just the same old, same old. Hey, Marita, come on in, girl. Come on in. Yeah, Bear Exposure. Yeah, I had a Tim glitch. Like I said, I have never I had so many people watching too. And I obviously was like, this is odd. A lot of people are watching. Nobody feels confident enough to drop some comments in the chat. Yes, Junebug is snoring. Yeah, she is snoring. We were over at the puppy park today, and she had 3 dogs in there with her, and they got on all really great. And she was just running and playing. And so, yeah, she is out for the count now. I even have my best cup of coffee. So thank you, everybody who makes coffee donations. I've got my best cup over here. Let me just throw out a fair use on this one real quick. Here we go. Fair use. There's a disclaimer that my thing is for entertainment purposes only. There we go. There we go. Oh, well, thank you guys for coming back over and watching me over here since I had to in the other one. Oh, I'll keep it there. And I'll put a post description under the, yeah, it was a Ross wrist repeat with Timmy. Oh, I mean, I'm not sure where he thinks he's going to go with this content here. I mean, I understand. I mean, if he wants to do a vlog or something, then just pick the highlights of the day, Tim, put them together and release it as a 10-minute vlog. For, just the highlights of your breakfast in the morning, the highlights of your, and I'm not a vlogger, okay, because it's a lot of work, actually. Your breakfast, your trip to Walmart, your trip in the car, your time with Tammy at the restaurant. You could make all 4 of those events into one concise video and not have it to be, 4 different videos. But I think he has definitely the attitude of quantity over quality. And I think he thinks if he puts out enough videos that he'll get enough cumulative views to get what he wants financially. But I also believe too, You just had to say it, bad blind. Oh, Blind Views is not going live today? I'm surprised. One of the reasons why I put my live on much earlier today was because Blind Views usually goes at 7. So I was like, well, I definitely don't want to clash with his time. So I decided that I was going to come in at this hour instead. Which is kind of like, I guess, drive time here on the East Coast. It could be lunchtime on the West Coast. And if people are just listening to from their prison jobs, I appreciate it even more. So, yeah. All right. Let's get over to this actual live reaction here. Yeah, the Flagstaff. That one at the Love's Truck Stop. I mean, he really was just having a rant. I mean, just a rant. And to me, if you're complaining about roads and wanting to sell your RV, it's just like, and it's just, to me, is he going to keep this description that he's a full-time RVer and a minimalist living in a 25-foot Flagstaff camper? My channel is eclectic. Everything can be found on my channel, day-to-day life. Well, yeah, you're definitely day-to-day life, but the problem is, Tim, you're in a Walmart or other places and you're hashtagging with words like Social Security, and that you're not doing a talk about Social Security. So anyway, let's just get into this ridiculousness from this morning. Let me go back a little bit. Yeah, I've got enough. All right, let me speed him up to 1.25. And let's just let it fly in the chat. And I'll keep an eye on. Oh, look what he's got on in the background. Doesn't that look like a news channel? Am I seeing this wrong over here? Tammy's the reason? Dr. Falcon, I think she might be the reason that he's selling the crapper. But I don't know if that's because you love your prison job. You work from home. Well, I'm working from home too on my prison job, I guess, being a YouTube streamer. And I love it too. So I can't say, oh, thank you for the super sticker, Gina. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much for that generous super sticker there. I love a super sticker. Thank you, girl. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Very kind. Look at Tim. Look at Tim. He got his cross from Tammy. But isn't that the news? I don't know whose news channel that is. Like, I don't know if is that Fox News he's looking at? Is that who's that on? Oh, who's that on there? Hey, Angel of Glass, thank you for being here to act as my moderator. Timmy! Yes, Timmy! Thank you, Miss Lee. I hope you're feeling better too. But yeah, RVs depreciate so freaking fast. Tim is so ignorant, think he'll get half what he is asking. Didn't he say he paid $40,000 for it? And he's asking, oh, thank you, Salty Fry. Oh, well, I think you appreciate that you're saying this is a great live, because it didn't start out so great. But you got to laugh at yourself, and now I'll know. I will remember for the future, if I've set a StreamYard live stream as private initially, that when I go live, it's not going to let me to see my chat. Hey, Olive Oil, come on in, girl. Come on in. I know a lot of you. Actually, Miss Angel of Glass, if you could hit the likes, show me support, get me up the algorithm. Gets me over the top of 10. If you want to drop Miss Olive Oil's and barium exposures email, YouTube links, I'll get there, then I would appreciate you doing that. I feel funny because I got a short sleeve shirt on, which I don't feel is professional. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a hot, sticky day. Okay, but this is the news. And Tim was very clearly telling us the other day when he was talking about the haters and reaction channels like me, who's a hater channel, that, you've got to can't watch that news. You've got to stop watching that garbage. It's just filled with hate and filled. And it's one thing for Tim, who's clearly got the news on in the background. And it's another thing for his subscribers. It's just, you cannot be here trying to say, this is why either Tim has narcissistic personality traits, or he's just a pathological liar or a compulsive liar. And there is a difference between the two. And without obviously being able to, be in front of Tim, physical assessment and asking specific questionnaires that we use in the mental health field, then it's I can't say if he's compulsive or pathological. But pathological lying actually is, somebody that they're almost considering that becoming part of the diagnostic statistics manual, which is the manual that we use in order to get diagnoses for patients so that we can actually treat them and bill insurance, believe it or not. And they're looking to try to add it because it's just thought to be a trait of somebody with personality disorder. Say, for example, antisocial personality disorders may have a trait of pathological lying. But there's a lot of times where somebody who's a pathological liar doesn't have the traits of somebody who has an antisocial personality disorder. So they're actually considering it as potentially being a separate category, like a separate diagnostic category within the DSM-5, because they don't, necessarily share the same, but there is something about pathological lying. But I wonder if he is just compulsive with it, because he lied about, obviously, Johnny Vegas's, how many years that Johnny Vegas was married. I mean, from going from 5 years to 27, and it seemed that he and Johnny were on the same page, because if they weren't, I'm sure most people, if you had heard somebody say, oh, they're celebrating their 27th anniversary, would have said, oh, no, it's just 5 years. And it wasn't even their anniversary. So I don't know if it's just compulsively he wants to lie, or is he really got a pathology to it? So anyway, let me get him started, because I could go into that forever.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Sarasota Tim. Check it out, man. This is fun. There's 1,000 of them out there. There's a bunch of them. I'll walk around and show you guys in a little bit. But right now,
I tried about the Georgia.
I got some, what's it called again? The Highlander grog cooking. We're back, folks. We're back to videoing in the morning. We're on the Eastern time. We're actually in Central time. I just put my eye drops in. I'm sorry. I'll be on Eastern time, hopefully, in a few days after we leave here. That means that morning chat will be early again. Serious? And those that are waking up in the West Coast will have something to see when they get up. It was all screwed up when I was out west, wasn't it? But
I am not sure what's going on today.
Some tomatoes and some bell peppers and some squash ears that my cousin gave me. We stopped in Monroe, Louisiana.
Tim's playing, and I don't know if anybody can hear. Oh, am I back? Okay. This is why I'm changing to Verizon tomorrow. Away from Cox Communications. I'm getting a brand new wireless tomorrow from Verizon. They came and gave me a great deal yesterday, and I could not resist. And they're sending you as long as you get the thing put up within a week, I think it is, or a couple of days. And it's actually got the little tiny receiver that I just plug into the socket next to a window, not a big old, and it does everything because it's on fiber optic and a much faster speed and everything. So I'm excited because that's going to help my stream. And it was less expensive than my current provider. They were offering deals yesterday. They caught me. So yeah, you think he stopped along at somebody's house along the way? I believe he stopped with, or he ran into some subscribers. He does look very tired though. And I don't know, he does have problems with his eyes. Now, I'm not an ophthalmology expert. That's not my field of medicine. I do cardiac nursing though. And this type of like fluid buildup under the eyes could be lack of sleep, or it could be a sign that he is retaining fluid because of the high sodium content diet that Tim tends to enjoy. At the moment, he's about to get down on some bacon. And that would not be something that would be advisable for somebody who's trying to manage a cardiac issue because of the amount of salt, and, water follows salt. And so if you're having a very salty diet, you will be retaining water. And it looks to me like he's retaining edema. He's very edematous around the eyes. And I would almost think this is potentially, and obviously I'm only speculating. Oh, thank you, Lee, that this is coming from a cardiac than anything else. This is beyond just being tired. That's a little bit more than that. Well, thank you, Miss Lee. I wish I could say I love business calls. Have a great. Oh, well, thank you for that. A very generous super chat, Lee. I really do appreciate and your support for this channel. Come back and see us on the replay. I've got 2 you can watch. Oh, gosh. I'm leaving up 2 just to be like Tim. Maybe that was what the influence was today. Is that Tim was wanting me to pump out more than 1 live stream today. So thank you, Tim, for that. Thank you. Tammy also ordered a pina colada for lunch today while dealing with a migraine. Oh, well, that's always very helpful for a migraine. Hey, Kim, this is my friend Kim coming over from Poland. Come on in, Kim. We're talking about Tim and how the fact he just turns out the same old, same old. But yeah, this does not look good. So we got Tim already lying about not watching news, because we know he does. We just saw it on his TV. And, he just, like I said, I am curious to figure out if he's pathological or compulsive, because he lies a lot. He lies all the time. And he certainly lied about being a minimalist. He lies about being a cowboy. And it's interesting because he takes on personas. So I'm wondering if he's going to be like, what persona is Tim going to be taking? What hat, literally, is he going to be putting on? Is the golfing going to be gone now he's back in Florida? Who knows? Keep going, Tim.
It's a small town near Monroe, actually. And saw my cousin and my mom's brother, my uncle and his wife, and one of my other cousins, their daughter. We had a great visit. And they have a garden. And so Penny gave me these vegetables here. I'll have a tomato sandwich later or on my BLT. In fact, this morning I just went in there and Miss T said I could put on some medium bacon. So I'm going to get the oven going now. I was going to take the griddle out and put it on the side of the camper and cook, either pancakes or bacon and eggs. And I might get it out and do it tomorrow. I haven't done that probably ever on a video. Well, yes, I did when I first bought it. It's in the back in the storage. I'm going to get it out. I've got my e-bike in there. We're going to be here a couple of days, but not very long. So I don't know if I'll get that out or not. The place is busy. There's people waiting to come in. It's summertime, vacation time. I'm going to go down to Wal.
I'm guessing he got lucky, and I hopefully you can see me talking, because I think once I play him, I lag. I am so happy to change my provider tomorrow, so I don't have this lagging issue going on. But I know we have very bad weather in the area, and that potentially could be why. And I know that's why I said that's why I'm happy to get the going with Verizon Fios and get rid of this Cox, because they're terrible. They're slowing up my StreamYard. Yeah, he doesn't have a golf sponsor. Yeah, he doesn't have anyone to sponsor him for golf. And he's saying that he's never brought out whatever grill or whatever from his camper. Oh my goodness. I mean, oh, Tim. I mean, this is, cooking up some bacon. Tim, you don't need bacon. I don't think I've ever seen this man consume a vegetable or a piece of fruit. I mean, I would not recommend somebody, at 65, Tim, if you monitored your diet and actually ate, they do recommend that you should. I know a lot of people don't like it, but if you listen to anybody talking about weight management, they will tell you to eat more plants and to eat less. That's really what most of your diet should be, or coming from plants. And then you have a little bit of, your meat, if you're a meat eater, or whatever protein you prefer. you have a little bit of your good fats, you know, some nuts, some seeds, but it really should be fruits and vegetables should make up the majority of your diet, especially if you want to take care of your heart and have good heart health, because that is going to be a good indication that you will have a good, long, healthy life. If you've not been having to manage blood pressure, anyway, I could go on for that forever. Let's keep going from Tim. Now, I might go frozen while Tim plays. Like I said, I've got some weird setups from Streamyard today and my own internet provider.
Walmart this morning and show you guys what I think is the best Walmart in America. It's because it's in Panama City Beach. It's got a lot of beach stuff. It used to. We'll find out when we get there. And then we're going to show you St. Andrews State Park, the most sought after camping spot and park in America. A year ahead, people are reserving spots there. Naturally, we'll be down the beach where you saw a little bit yesterday, that sugar sand and that.
And that's a good call, too, that Tim possibly is, now that he's back with Tammy, and Tammy is your carnivore all the way. Just be cautious on those heart arteries, okay? I can just let you know that even all the meat, you know, just be careful. Makes, you know, just it's not great on the heart as we get older. So just be aware. I have to say that as a cardiac nurse. Yeah. Have you tried OBS for streaming? No, I haven't. I think it's to do more with my internet provider, which is why we're changing tomorrow. We've got the new internet coming in. And so that's going to make it. I've never had this issue, and we've got very bad weather in this area. So, like I said, it's something that, I don't think it's necessarily coming from StreamYard. I literally think it's the speed that my internet is working today. And I have like I said, I'm changing providers. So Friday, tomorrow is when I'll get my new Verizon, and I'm probably going to try a stream on Saturday with glitters and lasers, because I haven't touched her for a while. But I, let me not talk about all. I'll bore the audience. But yeah, Tim definitely, because he's quite bleary-eyed too, and he hasn't talked about. There's a couple of things that Tim has not been addressing with his more Christian audience lately. One is his, wonderful, cashing it for Christ that he does, or sorry, crushing it for Christ. He's kind of gotten rid of that recently. We haven't seen the Bible come out for a little bit. And the other is he's not been shown shopping for his non-alcoholic beer. And he does look, I mean, I know he's been driving a lot, so I mean, he could be just tired from all that driving. You could use a facelift. Yeah, that's not going to be happening with our friend Tim. I mean, he doesn't look healthy. I mean, if I saw this patient coming into my crushing it for Christ, if it gets low views, then Tim not going to be interested, is he? Yeah, I think he's probably back on the jizz. And he's been all along. Yeah, he looks hungover, because Tim was somebody who had a history of drinking quite heavily. And he did admit that in the past. And something like alcohol, like any addiction, you don't just, quit overnight and without having, and it's dangerous with alcohol too. If you drink quite heavily just to stop like that, you could actually do yourself quite a lot of harm. There's a lot of things when we're, detoxing patients from alcohol, it can be really rough, and they have to get a lot of what we call a banana bag in order to replace all the nutrients that they are no longer, that the body would have had depleted through the use of alcohol. And it can be really rough to stop drinking if you've been a heavy drinker. It's one of the few addictive substances that we caution quite heavily not to just stop cold turkey if you have been a very, very heavy drinker, because your risk of death is very high, because the DTs, the delirium tremors that people go through, are really severe. And I've seen patients go through weeks of that, and very traumatic. So if he had been a very heavy drinker in the past, it would not be advised for somebody just to go cold turkey. you would need to be monitored by a healthcare professional and potentially taking, often they will put you possibly on benzodiazepines, drugs, in order to help you kind of help with the withdrawal symptoms of that. There are some other drugs like buprenorphine, which is coming. It's one of the ones that we use for opioid withdrawals. So there's lots of different ones. Sun damage on his nose. Oh, that spot here. I think he needs to see a dermatologist about this. That is something concerning to me. Having worked in plastic surgery, specifically in this area with skin cancers, and I would be concerned to see this type of lesion come up on my nose. I don't know if it's lesionous, but there's definitely a suspicious looking mole, and I certainly would want to have that checked out and not leave it, because anything in the nasal area, it's very dangerous. You're so close to your brain. That is, he needs to have that checked out, just in my medical opinion. Obviously, I'm not treating or diagnosing Tim, but yeah, this has been concerning to me for quite some time. I don't know if this is something he's always had this here, but yeah, his eyes. I mean, he didn't. I mean, just if you looked at him from a year ago when he was working in the Publix, he did not look this tired. Now, he has driven, obviously, across country, but they've been staying primarily at hotels at night, and I would have hoped that they cut driving at a certain hour. But Tim reminds me of somebody who would be pushing it, and driving for extended periods of time. And obviously, Tammy is not driving his truck. So, yeah, it could be a combination of many things that are making him look this tired. He looks really drawn, really bad.
Beautiful clear water that's warm. Tonight, we're going to be cruising the boulevard with all the other people cruising in their cars and golf cars. You saw the slingshot last night, that crazy ride. We had the best barbecue we ever ate in our lives yesterday at Back Beach Barbecue. And there's the crusher right there. Oh. We're definitely winning. We're crushing it. I'm going to have some Highlander grog right now, put on some bacon. We'll get a video of that too. Let me put this down.
I'm surprised that he and Tammy would be getting engaged because of the fact that he will lose his ex-spouse retirement benefits. If you are the person claiming from the ex-spouse, now if Tammy, it doesn't matter for her. She can be remarried and still get her spousal benefits because she's a widow. But Tim, being an ex-husband and claiming spousal benefits, but he probably doesn't realize this, he will lose that $1,700 a month, and it will go on to whatever he earned through his lifetime as the Social Security recipient. And that was something that I saw very clearly on the Social Security site, that he will have that as an issue. So that's something that he's, got to watch out for. And I just don't think he knows that. I'm going to try to pull that up because I was trying to pull it up last time since I'm freezing anyway while Tim plays. Let me keep him roll. He looks rough today, guys. All right.
Down and get everything kind of prepared. Good to have you guys with me this morning on Morning Chat. I had to come out this morning and turn on the gas so I can get the bacon going. So I had to open this up and turn on one of my 30-pound propane cans. Got this big diesel here. This guy came in after. Every spot's taken. And just to give you an idea, very sandy here, Florida sand. That is on the sand of the ocean right there, that high rise. So it's literally walking distance across the street. What? I know it looks crowded, but you know what? Last night, something very, very unique. Have you ever been camping before in your a tent, and at night it's because you can't see everything? It's kind of cozy and cool looking. So we're walking down the street last night. There's a half a moon, but it was dark, and people had all their. I've got my LED light on. I got to turn that off. Everybody had a little light on or something, but it was just a glow. It wasn't bright lights, and the kids are running around, and a lot of kids here. You can see people got bicycles. There's people in this place is huge. It's way back in the back too. People are living here full time as well. This is a very transient come and go area through here, and I just have to walk down here and show you.
this fifth wheel right here, a couple of doors down. Look at the size of it. Look how shiny it is. This thing is crazy beautiful. It's got a couple of slides on this side. I don't know what he tows it with. He's got his system there. There's a shiny one over there, Class A. Plenty of money, folks. Plenty of money. These RVs. Yeah, I've made a couple of videos. I've commented to many people in the comments regarding a dog walk right here about traveling with the RV. And while it is absolutely an excellent life, I haven't backed down on my view of the roads. It's really very disheartening of the road conditions. One or two people said,
he's already off on these road conditions again. I cannot believe this. One, this is a private establishment, Tim, so I don't think they fall under the same road conditions. And the other is that they are managed by the state of which is having the roads. Oh, he just, yeah, show us your tires again, Tim. Yeah, we want to see those Goodyear tires. I thought Michelin was the better brand. I thought Michelin tires were the ones that are always very expensive. Oh, he wants to come over to the UK? Are we saying that our roads are bad in England? I know there's like pothole watch in England. Shoot, sometimes the roads do get so bad that people in this country will just start going and, putting, I think, wasn't it Arnold Schwarzenegger went out and filled a pothole in California? You think about how much tax they pay. But it is managed by the state. So, I mean, if Tim is that upset about the road conditions, then he needs to run for local council. Sorry, I am coming in and out on this Streamyard. I think our weather is really affecting me today. So I'm going to try to keep going with Tim. I'm trying to read these codes because I found it one time and they just always, it's amazing. I didn't think to save the site and they have so much different information. And then something about I'm sure I read something, you cannot get married again in order to keep the benefit. So I'm going to keep looking for that because I found it one time and I read it. So let me keep going with Tim complaining about the roads over here.
They had an RV and towed and, didn't have much issue. But a lot of you did concur that the roads are like, this is nothing. This is nothing. Folks, I'm talking about scary. I'm talking about, I thought things were going to come off the hitch. And it was like miles of riding on a railroad track. And these are the freeways that, I-10, I-20, I-40, and the highways. They're pathetic. So all these folks are travelers. Now, some of them might be, from Georgia, and they ran down here. And, hey, you can deal with that. You really can. But my thing is,
okay, here we go.
I like to travel, cross country, long distances. And that is annoying.
All right. So I'm going to share this one real quick, this ex-spouse benefit thing. This is coming obviously from Social Security matters from the U.S. government. And so this is the part that I find quite interesting if he does decide to marry. So ex-spouse benefits in you. Okay, no doubt about thinking of an ex-spouse can be emotional, blah, blah, blah. If you are age 62, unmarried, and divorced from someone entitled to Social Security or retirement or disability benefits, you may be eligible to receive benefits based on their record. And I think that's what we've understood from Tim, is that because Tim has been married 3 times, and I'm guessing he's been then divorced 3 times. And so what they state is there's other rules, of course. You must have been married to your ex-spouse for 10 years or more. So I don't know if there was one of the spouses that he had an extended marriage for. If you have remarried, you can't collect benefits on your former spouse's record unless your later marriage ended by annulment, divorce, or death. So, so obviously, if he remarried after one of the spouses, then that marriage needs to have ended for him to be eligible to get it onto another spouse. Also, if you've entitled to benefits on your own record, Your benefit amount must be less than you would receive based on your ex-spouse's work. In other words, we'll pay the higher of the two benefits for which you're eligible, but not both. Okay, so they keep talking about, obviously, you can apply on your former spouse's record, even if they're not retired, as long as you've been divorced at least 2 years before retiring. But basically, you cannot, understand you cannot remarry. I don't think you can marry, but you have to be divorced. There's something else that I read, and they keep changing it. There was one that I read that clearly spelled out that if you remarried, then you were not going to be eligible for your previous spouse's benefit. A widow, it doesn't matter. But I've read that if this person, I'm going to try to find that one. So let me get back over to Tim. Because I saw it one time that Social Security's got like 40 different pages. Okay. Keep going, Tim.
I wouldn't have anything bad to say. I mean, other than the roads still stink. But to go from one state to another, you can deal with it. But to travel every day, all day for 5 or 6 days to get from one end of the country to the next, and you have to deal with that. It's just, I mean, Tammy almost got a headache. She's looking down at her phone, and she was scared several times when we went over a big bump. Like, what was that? And it's just, So enough about the roads, but I'm sticking to my guns on that. So if you're going to get one of these, be prepared for it to be bounced around quite a bit. So let's get that bacon going. The Dexter tires, Dexter axles and the Goodyear Endurance tires did hold up. So if you're going to get you a camper and you're going to be traveling the roads, make sure you have Goodyear Endurance tires. The Toyota, I mean, the suspension, the shocks and all these things, I mean, it's got to take toll. The inside, nothing was damaged. That one door I got, I'll show you guys later. It really ticks me off that I let that happen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, Tim, because you're such a great RVer. He would hate some of the roads in Canada. Gosh, he would hate roads in a lot of places, and people hate road works. I know that they're doing always work in my area in Virginia Beach because I'm in the resort area. So we get a lot of heavy traffic, obviously. And I feel like they're always redoing our roads, and obviously it interrupts traffic too. And they don't tend to do them at night on smaller roads, maybe larger interstates they do, and they close interstates down. I mean, it's such a, difficulty. But anyway, let me bring this back over because I'm having the toughest time, but I did want to point out this point, and I don't think Tim is aware, and this is what I keep saying, divorced and remarried, and this is coming from Fidelity. If you were divorced but have since remarried, you are now a spouse from the Social Security's perspective. You are no longer an ex-spouse. Your retirement benefits will be based on your current spouse's work history, not your ex's. So if he and Tammy remarry or marry, then it's going to be based on Tammy's. And I don't know if they think that's but she's going to be pulling from being a widow from her deceased husband. So maybe that's what but it says work history, no, not from an ex. However, so I mean, it's like, I don't think your benefit could be reduced or denied. So I think they need to look into, Dr. Ed Weir and finding out, oh gosh, I talk about the Johnny Carson, because if they remarry, I don't know, because she's going to be claiming it off of Dwayne's income, because I don't think Tammy ever really worked that I'm aware of. It's going to be, I would be curious to know what happens with this. So, I mean, he definitely would need to get to Social Security Administration, because Tammy is not going to be doing it from her work history. She's going to be doing it on a widow. So it's, I certainly would not want to get remarried. All right. That I just found interesting. So yeah, he may not be talking about that $1,700 a month, but then again, Tim is a Social Security expert. He's got the $300 a month. Yeah. EIDL payment. Yeah. I mean, but the money that Tammy is getting, from her, that she's obviously, I don't know what Dwayne made over his lifetime. Tammy is basically the one who's going to be having all the money. And she's the one with the down deposit for a house. And so, I mean, I just cannot believe that. Well, I can believe. And I always wonder, nothing had happened to Dwayne that day, where would they be on their relationship at this time? Where would Tim be? Would Tim be talking about sticks and bricks? Would he be wanting to be Mr. Condo now? You don't want to be in a condo in Florida, Tim. I'll tell you that much. Condos in Florida, they're getting hit with assessments. So you want to keep away from that. If they are married, he gets half of her dollar on the property. Well, yeah. Yeah, but that's not going to be his money in his pocket. He's going to be beholden to Tammy. I don't think his YouTube channel is going to be paying the bills anymore, or his buy me a coffee. I saw that his buy me a coffee. He gets occasionally like a really generous donor, but for the majority part, he doesn't get that much money. So yeah, she has her family. Why does she want to be back with him? Some people don't want to be alone. It's the only thing that I can suspect is that, Tammy remained married to Dwayne even when she was going on cruises with Tim. And some people just do not like to be alone. And sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't, as they say. And so he's potentially just the devil she knows better. And she doesn't, she just maybe knows that it's difficult to meet people in later life and doesn't want to go through all that. And she's got Tim, and she's known him for a long time. She's known him, 40 years, they say? Gosh, the rain's coming down really hard. Johnny Hurst will be paying him a visit while Tammy is at her prison job. Well, does Tammy even work? I know that when Tim was talking about his time at Publix, you might hear the rain. We are coming into a massive storm here in Virginia Beach, man. And I have a skylight, so I apologize. I'm not in my studio because I haven't had time to set the studio up. It's okay, Junebug. It's okay, girl. So yeah, this is a sloppy situation. I would not recommend, Tammy is, holding all the cards, and I wouldn't recommend her getting, but some people, like I said, they don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone at all. The hot weather is causing for so many thunderous and lightning storms, and it's okay, Junebug. That's why I want to get a place without a skylight. I used to love the skylight because it lets in the natural light, but on times like this, it's like, oh Lord. Okay, keep going.
This is my weight distribution here.
Right, probably why I
freeze
freeze.
A little bit.
Terrible.
Just to keep the shade on it and precipitation. We've got a forecast of about 40% chance of showers. Mostly this morning and
she's
today.
Retired from the school
it's supposed to be mostly sunny. Let's go in there and make that.
Was Tammy a school teacher or did she work in the administrative area? Because there's a totally different benefit from that. And I don't know if you could then draw like from your widow's, like Dwayne's Social Security, and then I don't think they let you draw from two places. I am not Social Security age. I do not work for the Social Security. I need to get on one of Dr. Ed Weir's live streams and try to ask these questions one day. And then play it back for the audience just to help clarify what could be the situation. Because I know for example, my friend is a school teacher and they have a very separate retirement benefit away from Social Security. It's not the same. Or something is different. It's different with the school systems. It's kind of it's a little bit different from the rest of us. I've never worked as a teacher in the United States, but I know there's a difference in their retirement benefits through the school systems comparatively, at least up in Illinois, comparatively to, say, most of us who just paid into Social Security systems. I think it's even different when you're a federal worker. So they might come into that type of pot. If anybody knows, let me know in the chat. All right. Keep them.
and have some of that Highlander grog coffee. Yeah, the place is a little messy. We got some things laying around on it. I got the news on to see the weather. It's local news. And switch that off in a minute.
Well, it depends on what type of job you had at the bank, too. And if she stayed at that job for an extended period of time, then she might have been eligible for some type of retirement benefit. I know now and this was a conversation I had with a friend of mine who worked in HR in the banking industry. And banks got rid of those pensions a long time ago. They do not offer most businesses now that are privately held do not offer any of those businesses. I know there's one healthcare system here that if I keep going back to work for them, I do have I've been grandfathered into an annuity with them. And if I go back to work, because when I've left and returned back to that system and left again, I was put back into their annuity plan, but I've been grandfathered into that by that healthcare system. So if I go back to work for them after I graduate from grad school, then they would put me back into that annuity benefit again. But for anybody else who's joining the healthcare system and has never worked for that healthcare system in the past, they are not eligible. They are not. This is why you hear young people being so stressed out nowadays, is that they don't get them. And my bank friend even had somebody come in who was getting closer to retirement age and assumed that they were going to be getting some type of pension. And she quite clearly told her that, no, we don't do those any longer. And she'd been working with the bank for about 5 years. And this was in 2010, I want to say. So they stopped doing anything like that unless you were grandfathered into it some time ago. So she might be getting some type of bank pension. It's difficult to know. But maybe that's another reason why Tim, hovers around Tammy too, is that he knows that she is so much better financially off than he is. I mean, and it's, and he's got nothing and she's got everything, and his YouTube channel's failing. And I guess if he wants to get his name on the deed to Tammy's, to the property, he's going to have to, potentially put in for some down deposit, which is probably why he's trying to sell the Flagstaff, in my estimation.
Check it out. Always lift that lid up. I got some creamer in there.
Yeah, coffee. That's not a good choice.
And this stuff smells amazing. One of you out there got some for your husband, I think. Let's see how this tastes. Oh, yeah. You can taste the real coffee that way. Oh, my gosh. That's the best cup of coffee I've ever drank in my life. That's really good. AC just kicked on. Again, it hasn't stopped.
Oh, he's got some fruit and veggie over here.
Florida. What's this?
I see he's actually got some vegetables over here. That's good. All right, I keep freezing. I know it's because this is why I'm going on to fiber optic. Because Cox is terrible in this weather.
Oh, that's the back one?
Oh.
Look at it. First time, every time. That's a good can. Am I selling it? Hell no, you can't believe the damn thing I say.
They always say that famous people die in threes. And we just had the sad passing of Shannon Doherty at the very young age of 53 from breast cancer. We also lost the exercise guy. Oh, his name escapes me now. Oh, I see him. Richard Simmons has passed away. And now we've had the sad death of Bob Newhart. Oh, and he lived a long time, though. Good for Bob. 94. I mean, Bob Hope lived a long time, too. So if you take, like I said, if you take care of your diet, and he probably had a lot of access to all sorts of medical treatments, money will keep you alive for a long time. I'll let you know that much. Wow, this rate is crazy.
But until I find me a place to live, this is my house. So it ain't going nowhere.
Gosh.
I got very emotional about them roads and stuff. But when she's parked, look at what I'm doing. I'm going in a refrigerator. I got
I bet when Tim was shilling those coupon books around, he never had a fridge that filled. What is this over here? Is that his non-alcoholic beer? I can't see clearly, but he's got some type of, bottled alcohol in here. Is that wine? I can't tell. But he certainly's got, is that his Natty Lights, but like non-alcoholic? They don't recommend that you should drink those if you're recovering from alcohol. I'm going to let you know I am in a terrible rainstorm at the moment. So it's wild. That's why the internet is so bad today.
I have a bedroom.
Ugh.
I got a bathroom.
Why I freeze.
I got a kitchen.
Dick Van Dyke.
This is good, man. Let me put some bacon in there and I'll be right back. All right, let's get a little light on the action.
Oh.
And let's get us. I threw away them tongs and rubber coated tongs. I told Tammy, get rid of them. I got to buy some better ones. Oh, I had some metal ones in here. I need a few things. No tongs. Hold on. My skillet here got a little mark on one of them.
Oh.
I like a lot of bacon because it's the Atkins diet. I wish I had some eggs. We're going to make some toast. We got a loaf of bread last night. Right here. Over at Walmart. Get the toaster out.
I mean, this is probably the largest Tim has ever lived when he hasn't been probably, living off an ex-spouse. Because wasn't he just renting a room from somebody for a while? And that would have been potentially in his 50s, like my age. I can imagine renting a room from somebody at my age. I mean, that would be tough. I mean, he's not going to be, look at this black coffee. I mean, this is not, if it's caffeinated too, it's not really, I mean, do whatever you want as you get older, you do whatever you want. But from a cardiac standpoint, and having been a nurse who worked in cardiac rehab and worked in, cardiac nursing and worked in the, cath area where they do all the heart caths and put in all the stents and cardioversions and all these different procedures. I worked procedurally in a cardiac department. None of Tim's breakfast would be recommended at his age. We would be, trying to, if you want to feel good and, have good energy and be able to, and this is why he looks, I've seen 70-year-olds who are so much more sprightly than Tim. And it's because of how Tim manages his lifestyle. It's lifestyle for Tim, in my mind. Speculating.
You got some more of this coffee. Oh my gosh, Highland grog. So good. Thanks to Deb, the barber, the retired barber, that turned me on to this. Thank you so much. Did I show you my gold, my drawer of gold? Check it out. A drawer of gold, baby. All right, let's get this bacon separated so we can get to it.
Tim is 65 years old, and he eats, unless it's just, this is a lot of sodium. It's a lot of salt. And if he's, on any type of blood pressure medications or anything for cardiac issues, this is not recommended as a diet at all, because it's just very salty. It's very processed. It's all this fat is just going to block up your coronary arteries and potentially cause a cardiac event. I mean, I know people get very defensive about their meat. I'm just quoting what, unfortunately, evidence-based practice tells us. And what we try to advise to people, because I worked, like I said, extensive time also in cardiac rehab. We would not be advising this diet. As I said, if you're getting up into your 80s or 90s or something, then, have at it. But if you want to still feel, because you're not old at 65. I'm sorry. The fact that he wants to always say that, I find quite irritating. I'm about to be 55, and I certainly don't feel like somebody who's like anywhere at a point where I feel I should be slowing down in life. I'm in grad school. I'm certainly not anywhere near slowing down in life, and can see a whole, extended, part of my career in nursing happening. There are a lot of people in nursing that are, administrative, heads of administration, like administering the hospital, who are nurses who are definitely in their 60s and 70s. And sometimes it's like where you reach the pinnacles of your careers often. So it's just his rhetoric, I think, is just so, and it's, cognitively damaging too. Because there are studies that show that the more that you are out working, engaging with people, you're going to help stem loneliness. You keep your cognitive function better. There's just so much that actually benefits you from being, not say you have to work full time, but even working part time and using your brain. There's a lot of good into it. They actually show studies that if you just kick it back, you actually could have a faster cognitive decline. So I'm just saying.
Last night we were at that barbecue place. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry
Tim's wrong.
That back beach barbecue. That's the real deal, folks. You're not going to go to North Carolina and get any better barbecue than that. Sammy tell you. Her granddaughter FaceTimed her when we were there. It was noisy, so they kept asking for top 10. That's who I am. I couldn't talk to them. I was just standing in line. Man, they take a while to serve you there. I mean, they got one guy laying the meat out and making the sandwiches. But we were like, I don't know, only the fourth person in line when we got there. And then people just started piling in. And we read about that online, too. The line can be out the door. Sure enough. There's so many good eateries around Panama City Beach. And
well, people said I would also feel it when I hit 50. And I have felt some changes, but not really. I promise you, I still have great memory and can learn a lot of stuff. And I can, I do a lot in the day. I think a lot stems from lifestyle and diet. I'm a big proponent of that. So even though I enjoy a little bit of coffee, it's my only vice. So I certainly, do believe in, you are what you eat at the end of the day. And I've been somebody who has filled most of my plate with plants over my lifetime. And, staying hydrated with water, and obviously getting good exercise. And I, don't get to exercise quite the same as I used to. I used to be a competitive runner. But anyway, keep going, Tim.
Growth is really amazing. This place is absolutely off the chain.
Yeah, no more snoring.
Two places that really feel good to me. One is Henderson, Nevada. Now, I know that it's hot right now, but it's only July and August. It's not hot during the rest of the year. It's actually cold in the winter there. But another place is right here in Panama City Beach.
I want to know who sent him that darn Sarasota Tim YouTube mug. I mean, he really is trying. I mean, he will never get to 100K. My channel will never get to 100K either. So that's okay. Very few channels do. And I think once people realize that he had no financial expertise whatsoever, that his channel was just getting. So the only people I think that watch it is obviously channels like myself, and obviously channels that are reacting, just who or people, that are really into Tim. But I mean, this is his content. This is his content. I can't. That's why it's so much fun to have fun in the chat and get to talk about all these things, because this is what we get as content from Tim. This is what we get.
Just like Vegas, you want to stay out of the tourist area and stay off the strip in Vegas, because that's just a cluster. But Henderson, Nevada is awesome. I mean, awesome. And Panama City Beach is completely awesome too. There is some traffic. A lot of people have come here. Everybody's going everywhere that's good. All the money people are just flooding in. There's only a few places that
Well, Erickson did say that if you're ever looking at, stages of development, and Eric Erickson is generally the father of that in psychology. And at Tim's age, you're in your ego or integrity era. So it's either that you are, looking at your life from the viewpoint of being able, I think I'm getting that one right. Maybe my memory isn't so good anymore. But usually you're sort of thinking back to your life like when you're 65, is that you are looking at it as, what have I accomplished in life? What am I leaving as a legacy? Or am I, feeling that I'm still lost? I haven't really given anything. And so he potentially is at the place where he didn't do like this a full stage of development, where he's having some conflict in his older years. And that could be potentially, I mean, his diet could be leading to why he doesn't sleep well. Now, all that coffee he's consuming may not be the best thing for him. I've had to sort of start to cut back on my coffee consumption. It's something that, unfortunately, healthcare workers, we do tend to, abuse caffeine a lot of times in order to get through very long shifts and a lot of work. And so it's something that, you're better actually drinking water probably more than a caffeinated drink. So, I mean, it's something that I have to be very aware of too.
Discover traveling even worth living. I mean, we had a desolate country here. Most of the country in the middle was nothing. I mean, I drove for days. I didn't see anything.
I am so upset with my internet.
Uninhabitable. So there's only a few places that, that have the stores and the malls and the stuff and the beaches and the weather or the mountains or something that attracts people for recreation and things to do, weather. Now here, you got a threat of hurricanes. You got rain all the time, occasionally, one side of the street and not the other. You got humidity and all that, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do, Deal with it. Just deal with it. Everybody can't be wrong. That's what somebody wrote in comments, and they're right. 23 million people living here can't be wrong. About 5 or 6 million in Metro Vegas. That Henderson is nice. Where we're thinking about going, back to South Florida, East or West Coast, not sure. Check out the villages.
He does not. Oh, he's checking out the villages still. Okay, keep going, Tim.
Check out different things. We don't know. We really don't. We're trusting in God to open a door. We were even going to investigate Georgia, North Georgia. My good friends live there in north of Atlanta that I went to visit. Bless their hearts, they really wanted me to come by again. Reached out to me 2 or 3 times, extended the invitation. And I ended up just driving further south down this way, not knowing why, but I did. I'm glad I'm here. We'll visit them again. But Georgia kind of put.
So just harking back to my stages of development, it was integrity versus despair is the stages of the last stage in life per Erickson. And, that's kind of because the virtue would be, wisdom would be one of the virtues that somebody would have if you had, poor development into that older stage of life. You would be in disdain. And we know that Tim is also, he's complaining about the roads. He's complains about, how many people are living here in Florida, what this, what that, because I don't think that that Tim worked his way through the stages of development very well. And so he is definitely, I would not think that he is in a place of integrity where he has wisdom that he's sharing. Now, he would like to portray that he does, but that is because he potentially has narcissistic personality traits, in my speculation. And I'm sorry I freeze every time. Like I said, the weather came in horrible, which is, I canceled a live stream last week because I said the weather's going to be bad. And people were very disappointed. But I'm like, if I get bad weather, it can cause all sorts of weird issues, which is why I'm changing my internet provider.
Out of my mind. I lived there for a dozen years, in Atlanta.
Look, I freeze every time.
Cold, baby, cold. 6, 7 months a year. They don't have to snow to be cold,
Well, I would be curious if Tammy did work for a bank for 30 years and she was at a time when she would have gotten a pension And then she's potentially drawing from Dwayne's, because I know at one point Tammy was working part-time at a little store. And I don't know if she was doing that for financial reasons or just to do something because she wanted to, be out and active. So I'm really not sure. So it's interesting to know, what her financial position is. And is that potentially why he's trying to sell his property, his Flagstaff, in order to get over to the villages? He's mentioned it many a time that he wants to be in that community. I mean, Tim, for somebody who sold, oil change coupon books door to door for most of his life, worked very few hours in the day, kind of has been married a few times. I'm thinking that the wives were probably the primary breadwinners of the family, in my speculation. Entered into retirement with nothing really, had been living in friends' rooms, was, mooch docking his camper at a property that he was then told to leave because he wasn't supposed to be doing that in Boynton Beach. And then moved over, I think it was Boynton, wasn't it? He got in trouble. He left Sarasota, I think, because of prices too. So he was not a well-planned individual, but he certainly is wanting to retire like a king. I mean, he is wanting to retire like a king. Like he's been somebody who grafted hard his whole life and has earned and deserves this in his older age. And it just, it's remarkable to see it because I know I've worked a lot and very hard throughout my life, and I've been a single female for most of it, and have not had the benefit of sharing an income with anybody. For the last 20 years, I've been the only person paying my mortgage, and starting at a very young age in my 30s, at a time when sometimes the economy wasn't so great, because I am a Gen Xer. So it's just remarkable to me. It's remarkable.
I don't do cold weather. Air conditioning keeps kicking off and on because I have actually all the vents closed. This is 13,500 BTU. I have them all closed so that all the air will go to the bedroom, because last night, we are in a warm area here, and she's in there snuggled up freezing now.
Well, his RV is technically paid for, but it's paid for on a legally taken EIDL loan. And you can get in real trouble from the government on those loans. I mean, they're going to hit you. And he needs to have his investigated. And there is a website, I just don't have the time to file it all, where you can actually report people. And so I wonder sometimes if he does move around, not to have a permanent address. I mean, unless he's using his friend's address as, as his, or he's got a PO box, who knows? Because he doesn't have like a permanent home address. So he'd have to be using his daughter's in Georgia or somewhere, as a permanent home address. It's just, it's remarkable because I also had an EIDL loan. I've said this before, and mine was $1,200 because I was very honest in my application and about how my little nursing business was being affected because I couldn't get out and meet people. And my EIDL loan, which I pay on, it was $1,200. And he got 58, and he had been unemployed from what I understood prior to asking for that EIDL loan. And he had no business, all of mine went to pay my business taxes. So I didn't do anything fun with that money. I can promise you. It went straight back to the government because I knew I was going to have to pay taxes. So I literally took out a loan so I could pay taxes.
It'll blow. You can feel blowing on your face from the ceiling when you close these off. But when you're open and you've got duct AC throughout the camper, it's fine.
Well, the money that he made was probably from that big YouTube video, because if it had been monetized at the time, he probably made quite a good bit of money at the time. And at some point, the donations that he was receiving through his coffee, Buy Me a Coffee, were substantial donations. I mean, I think Olive Oil calculated that he got, $400 or $500 or not more, some months from that. So, and at the time, his YouTube views were much greater. And so he potentially at the time was probably, making a decent sum on YouTube. And at the time was getting a good amount of donations from his Buy Me a Coffee and, was taking in that Social Security check. So he could have been doing quite well at some point, but I don't know now if his channel is doing so well and what will happen with this channel in the end. If he's going to keep on, if he gets to that sticks and bricks over in the villages, if this channel is going to continue, who knows?
When the climate's not real hot or humid, it's equally cool throughout the whole camper. But when it was hot, you couldn't feel it as good back there, and we like it nice and cool when we're sleeping. So I just shut these off, and don't take anything. You open them, you just go like that, like that. I leave this and that closed. I'll go ahead and open this one. I got to clean all of this, and I've got to clean these. These come off, and there's a lifetime filter in there. It's really nice having that 30 amp power. I got an issue with the I'll just turn that bracket off.
And I guess one of the reasons I point out, Tim, is that he, could potentially be giving really bad financial advice to people who are thinking, oh, wow, I retire at 62 and I'll suddenly get a camper like this, because he's lived large on a loan that he took. And I think when he saw the terms over 30 years and he doesn't think he's going to live very long, he's not worried if he dies, because he didn't see that, that he was going to be living long enough to pay the loan out anyway. And so I wonder what happens to the remainder of that amount. Obviously, I wonder if he has an estate at that point, the estate that needs to pay it off. I mean, the loan was taken under false pretenses, in my opinion. And to get $58,000 on that EIDL loan and to have been somebody who went door to door with a coupon business, it doesn't make sense. Because like I said, I did those applications, and you would have had to have been putting in a lot of lies into that application. And they certainly were not the people that have spent it on Lamborghinis and doing all of these different purchasing of items. Now, that might be another reason why he wants to get rid of the Flagstaff, is he doesn't want to have the, these pieces of assets or properties which would have not been regulated through the EIDL loan, have them on his person, if he does, who knows? But he wasn't to buy campers and trucks and motorcycles and cars and whatever other items that he was buying on those loans. That was not the purpose of that economic injury or economic, whatever they would call it, income, whatever. I can't remember what the acronym was for, but none of that was to buy, housing for yourself. It was to keep your businesses afloat. That's why they were providing those loans. And I don't see any business that, and it wouldn't have been YouTube, because YouTube wouldn't even be qualifying.
I put a lithium 100 amp hour battery in the front of the camper to replace the 2 lead acid batteries that were 100 amp hour, but you can only use half of that before it really hurts them. Well, there's a reason they've been putting those in, I guess, because this one ain't worth a darn. I put the slide in and out in the back there, actually.
Well, that's nice, wagging tail.
When I down to what's on medium.
Oh.
I open up the slide so we can get to the drawers.
I am similar. Every time I see butterflies, I think it's my cousin who passed away from a very young age from colon cancer. So, yeah, sometimes butterflies are comforting.
Closet at a hotel once or twice, and I noticed my battery right here. See, it's full right now because it's plugged in. But if I unplug it from shore power and run the slide in now like one time, that battery goes down. It isn't a good one, or we'll go back to lead acid. 2 of them, marine type batteries, whatever you get with RVs. They came with one, and I had the guy at Camp Oak, so I bought it. Give me another one.
I mean, literally, what we've got here is Tim frying some bacon, one-handed with a fork. He doesn't even have like a spatula that's gonna protect the non-stick surface. Just poking around with the fork in there. And with the camera going, it's classic Tim content here. Talking just a stream of consciousness about nothing. And trying to turn it into content. It astounds me. And then he's, wanting to get to 100K with this as his content. I promise you, to get to those types of numbers and actually maintain an audience, you got to be either a family vlogger with some kids running around, or doing some really, or somebody who's giving some really good information can get those types of views. I mean, you've got to be getting some quality content. Like I said, my content today is terrible thanks to the weather. I'm coming in and out.
I had two because it holds two.
No, it's the same as it ever was. I know, mine too.
I can run the refrigerator, the TV, and it has an inverter on the camper, so that means I can plug in my coffee maker to this.
Hey, Miss Vicky, I am kind of moving. It seems like my internet, like I said, we're changing providers tomorrow. I will be, people drop it in the chat. They'll be like, that's all she talked about was, and they'll see me frozen on the screen because of the weather issues today. And probably the distance. And my wireless is right, like staring directly at my computer in order for me to get good wireless today. But I can't seemingly get the two together. But Miss Vicky, I was just saying I enjoyed your review of the Love's Truck Stop video that Tim had, because it was just 5 minutes of Tim complaining, but it got him his most views. So there you go. That's what you need to be pushing out as continuous content, Tim. It's just like, where you complain and you put the words, hate, complain, terrible, people. It's amazing how things that are not positive often get more views. That's why people get addicted to the news, because the news really isn't like filled with happy stories. You're not watching the news to like hear about, wonderful things that are happening. If you want that, you'll watch the Today Show. And most of the time it's tragic events occurring around the world or around the country. And for some reason, as a species, we are drawn to want to watch terrible events and less drawn to wanting to watch good events. And I don't know if it's because we are watching it, and I think from a psychological standpoint, we're kind of watching it being grateful that we aren't in that situation. And so when we're watching bad news occur, we're like, well, I feel very bad for these people. This is terrible, but this is giving me a warning about things. And so in a sort of primordial sense, we're getting warning signals from that bad news. But obviously, as psychologists, we do, worry about, people getting over consumed as much as, Tim talks about not watching the news as he has the news going on in the background, to obviously keep away from that, because the amount of negative content that comes, it can be very emotionally draining on people and can get people very upset and angry with stuff, because it's potentially activating a flight or fight in you without you really realizing it. And the news programming understands that that's what brings people in. Good news doesn't bring people, watching as much as bad news. And, it's interesting because it's obviously something very deep in human nature. And so Tim's bad news stuff, and which is funny because all his people that come to my chat want to tell me that he's just lightness and positivity at all times. Anyway, I said enough about that.
On battery power.
And now I'm freezing again.
Because it turns it into AC. Something low watt.
Yeah.
Like a 750 watt coffee pot. And I don't know about that battery. I made a mistake. I sold the other two batteries that were in there. They're brand new to someone at the orchards. And the main reason I did it is I wanted to lighten my tongue weight. Those lead acid batteries are very heavy. And so to get rid of both of those, lighten the tongue weight considerably. And then the one lithium that I have in there is supposed to be equal in power to both of those. But I ain't seeing it. And it's disconcerting to think that you're going, I left the camp for 2 days at the Hampton Inn, where we stayed 2 days in Vegas and ate, and it had to keep this refrigerator going. And it seemed to have done it. It didn't, everything was still frozen in the freezer. I didn't see any water. from a bag of ice I had in there that had leaked out and then refroze. But Tammy's saying that things don't feel like they're as cold as they should be in that refrigerator. Maybe I got a setting to do or something like that. Well, let's get some toast going. She's going to be getting up in a second. This thing out of my way, this stoop. I had that to stand next to the truck so I can get in. Oh boy, make some more noise, Baker. God. Give some more of that coffee. Can't wait to drink some more of that coffee. All right, let me get this off for a burn. She gets mad at me if it gets too crispy. Oh, look at that, right when I put the camera on. Ooh, let me get some butter on that. Look at that bacon. I told her, get in here. She bought herself some little muffins there.
This is not a good muffins. Tammy, her choices for what she eats in the morning are not awesome. I had one of my little whole wheat smart pockets, and I got a little bit of peanut butter for, a little bit of protein, healthy fats, and I put apple slices in it with the skins on. That was my breakfast, and it kept me satiated and feeling great for many, many hours. I mean, this is just not, butter, white bread, the sodium. So this is not a heart healthy breakfast here. In the honey wheat, it's, and I don't want to be the food police over here, but just, from a cardiac standpoint, as I always say, this is not what I would recommend. They should be having some fruit salad. Maybe you could have a little bit of whole wheat toast if you want. Have that with maybe a nut butter on it. Maybe even doing like mixes of vegetables, a little bit of whole grains. I can think of a lot of different things. Oatmeal, maybe with fruit, good old fashioned, some good whole oats, not the quick type. Oatmeal's great too. I'm a fan of oatmeal in the morning with either some sliced peaches, some apples on it. This is not a little bit of avocado on some sourdough toast. Sourdough bread is so much better for you. So getting some sourdough, maybe a little avocado toast. I know it seems like trendy, but you'll be getting so many more healthier fats that would keep this is not okay. Just
There.
Call it out, Ray.
Let me put some butter on that toast, man. Coffee is excellent. Best cup of coffee I ever drank in my life. Bacon came out perfect.
Yeah.
Get rid of this grease. Police this area up and enjoy ourselves. Crushing it.
Oh, okay. No, you're not, Tim. You're not crushing it at all.
It's great to have you here on the Clark Howard Show.
That's what comes up for me, Clark Howard. Okay, guys. Well, I am so sorry about my lag on my computer today and the terrible weather. I never know at this time of year. I'm obviously on the East Coast, and so you just never know what's going to happen. But I appreciate you guys kind of bearing with me when I did not realize that Streamyard was going to prevent me from coming over. And if I'd set it as private, I couldn't see my chat. Oh my goodness. That was one of my, for as much time as I've been live streaming, I obviously have never had that issue before, so I'll know not to do that again. Anyway, I'm out here. Yeah, you're not full from us over here. Yeah, Clark Howard is a good one. Yeah, I much rather get information from Clark Howard than from Tim when it comes to finances. Oh, so yeah, Tim is coming out with nothing new. It's and obviously don't even think that his content is anything of value at this time. So all right, guys, I got to read about opioid medications now. So I'm going to hit the school books this evening. Like I said, I just want to make sure I shout out the best breakfast Tim has ever had, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, along with the best cuppa, because he's got that Highland grog. He bought a case of it like this. My goodness, he bought that huge case of it. your boy in like the ski resorts in Virginia? Is it, what's that? Is it Snowshoe, or is that the one in West Virginia? I know there's or is that Whistle something? I'm not a skier. I've never skied in my life. I just feel like funny because I've got short sleeves on today. That's how, because I was outside. But I want to thank Just Cody for his super chat. And I know that was on my other stream. I want to thank Gina for her super sticker. Thank you, girl. I want to thank Salty Fives for saying it was a great live. And for Miss Lee, who had to leave us because I know she works from home and she had to leave us at that time. And I want to thank all of you for bearing with my terrible internet service today and the lag that was caused by the storm, so that I went like this while Tim was talking. Yes, thank you for that. And for Blind Views, Angel Glass, you're so awesome. Barry Exposure too, thank you, because I know he's been here. You had fun. Well, I'm glad you had fun. I have fun too, and I promise I will do more Tim streams, because I do love to get into the live stream and let everybody have a chance to interact with everybody else who regularly obviously comes to our channels and get a chance like just to talk about this interesting world of Tim. And I know he's and his Gary Gallagher is going to be in my comment sections, I'm sure, telling me in the way he usually does that that he is so sad that I'm obviously watching the best channel in the world and I should not comment on Tim. How dare I comment on Tim? How dare I be a reaction channel? How dare I make commentary around Tim? That I don't have a right to talk about Tim. I'm ridiculous. He loves to tell me that and I need to get a life, because obviously, being a grad student means that I don't have a life, which is true. I really don't have a life as a grad student. So yeah. But anyway, I want to thank obviously Angela Glass for taking the time to be my wonderful moderator today. Thank you so much, Angela Glass. They arrested somebody a couple of weeks saying they took a COVID loan and bought crap like Tim did. Yes, they did, Chris. And I'm sure there is, people getting, let me see. Before we finish out, EIDL loans, fraudulent. If there's anything we can see. Right. So let's see if they took a fraudulent one. Are they going to get themselves in trouble? Let's see. Is there anything in the news about that? So some of it says that they won't. Let me see. Let me share this. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screens here, because I am. Yeah, thank you, Angel Glass. Let me see. Says better data analysis gives SBA new optimism to recoup smaller COVID loans. Here we go. Here we go. This was in about a month ago. 2 arrested for alleged PPP and EIDL loan fraud in Houston. 2 individuals are now in custody for allegedly conspiring to submit numerous fraudulent applications for small business loans through the federal relief programs, announced U.S. Attorney Mr. Havdani. And this was 2 young folk, and they will make their initial appearance before the U.S. magistrate judge. This is a month ago. 11 to the 11-count indictment devised a scheme to submit fraudulent Paycheck Protection Program and economic injury disaster loan applications to the Small Business Administration and several banks authorized to approve and fund PPP loans the government backed. They allegedly submitted false tax documents, including fake personal and business tax returns, to support loan applications. Because, yeah, you had to show sorts of information. And it says that they used it to loans proceeds to make large cash withdrawals and to pay for unauthorized and non-business expenses such as residential mortgages, home improvement loans, and the purchase of vehicles. Some of the money also went to Young as a kickback payment for submitting fraudulent applications for the businesses, banks, and others owned, according to the allegations. and they are facing, if convicted, each faces up to 20 years imprisonment for conspiracy. I think one worked at the bank. So that's interesting to know. For conspiracy and wire fraud, as well as $250,000 maximum possible fine. The money laundering count carries a possible 10-year prison term and a fine of up to $250,000, or twice the value of the property involved in the transaction. Homeland Security investigations. Indictments of formal accusation of criminal conduct, not evidence. A defendant is presumed innocent, and obviously unless convicted through the due process of law. So interesting. So I guess if you're buying a car, that's not considered to be good, a good use of your EIDL loan. I mean, he's been acting like he's on the run from something in Florida since he first went west. Right. And he's not happy that he's back in Florida, but he needs to be back in Florida to get in those sticks and bricks. Oh, can you imagine? Yeah. Imagine Tim begging for, you know what? We got to bring out Judge Mathis for that one. Just kidding.
I simply asked. I said, I wish I could have this. Dry begging. Well, I mean, you know what that is.
Yes, we had to bring out some Judge Mathis, because I know today that Tim didn't, in this video, beg for coffee to his buy me a coffee. And people always say, well, you have a buy me a coffee. I was like, yeah, I really am appreciative as a poor grad student at this time for the coffee donations, because there has been the background check for the nursing position I'm waiting to start. I'm not the only person affected. There's a number of other nurses, and the background checks are just taking a long time to come back from this company. So I'm guessing they're batching things. It's a big company, and so they tend to use third-party vendors, and they have all these vendor contracts, and they usually try to get things at the cheapest price possible, which means they get kind of the worst service possible. So yeah, I'm still waiting to start my proper job. So YouTube has been my only job lately. I hate to say it. As I wait to start my new position. Oh my goodness. So yes, I appreciate it. So yeah, can you just imagine that? He's had 2 vehicles, 3 RVs, 1 motorcycle in less than 2 years. He did it in the beach one. Yes, he did. He did. And the one where Tammy's got her feet up on the dashboard. Did he go for Zing and Biscuit? I don't know. I know they went to Locals Lunch. They're certainly having a good time. I mean, I'm jealous. I haven't been out to eat in forever, man. That's not within this girl's budget. I've got housing to pay for. See, I've got one of those things called a mortgage, you know. If you use fraudulent money to purchase goods depreciated all, this may be used as proof you can go through the stages of money laundering. Exactly. I mean, Tim did not use that money for the economic injury disaster loan. He, has not used it. It was for business purposes. It was not for you to go out and purchase a bunch of stuff, which is why when I took mine, it was because my business was being affected at the time. And I've used that money to basically pay for my taxes for my business. And to keep my nursing business going. So I was paying for gas. I was going to my jobs that I did have at the time. So I certainly didn't do anything fraudulent. I never took a loan through a bank. Everything I did was through, obviously the government. And so, because my business had, so I had more, and I obviously went as one person. And Tim was one person working. So in reality, he should have only been eligible, if he was still having his business at the time, for $1,200 like I was. Not $58,000. There is no, how you would have had to have lied about the number of people working in that business. There's no way that one person would have been eligible for $58,000 in economic injury. That was definitely a falsification of his business paperwork, his taxes. There was some definite falsification of paperwork to have gained. And the fact that he then even went out on YouTube, and it's documented and people have copies of those videos, talking about the fact that he got that loan during that time for the amount he did and what he did with the money and how he only has to pay $300 a month. I mean, he literally took it like he was getting a loan from the bank. I mean, he either is just the dumbest man around, and I use those terms not in a medical sense. And I don't really like to say that, but I mean, like, misunderstanding what the loans were for, or he very much understood that he was lying on the paperwork and just thought that it would never catch up with him. But I can promise you the government is not happy about it. They are not happy, and they will prosecute people. And so they have hired additional IRS staff in order to, they're supposed to be, after this COVID aid program won't require all loans be repaid. I don't think I would be on for that so much. See, this is another one. Listen to this. Okay. This is the small business owner who built feds out of $472,000 through fraudulent loans, gets 18 months. Oh, okay. Yes, they're going to make sure I get, all this stuff going. This is why sometimes, when you come to these ones, you go away. So what, and I know too that the IRS has more agents hiring for fraudulent EIDL loans. Here we go. Oh, look at this. You got this is just on, two former Miami police plead guilty to COVID-19 relief fraud. IRS employees in Memphis pleads guilty to stealing more than 100, all of these people are getting caught. Ernst forces Biden's SBA to collect on billions of delinquent pandemic loans. 2 arrested. O'Fallon woman pleads guilty to $1.6 million in financial loan. U.S. halts collection on some past due codes, sparking federal probes. FBI is investigating. It's like, this is not something that's come suddenly to an end. They're definitely going to be investigating this. Here we go. Baton Rouge woman sentenced for defrauding. What do you do if you're billed for an SBA EIDL loan that you don't owe? Yeah, but you have identity theft. Oh, here's one that's even more recent. Here we go. Let's see what they say here. How the FBI is combating this. This is something about the EIDL loan through a law firm. ELDIL fraud. Here it is. Being charged with this fraud can have serious legal consequences, including a potential prison sentence, restitution, fines, and forfeiture. EIDL frauds with an individual, which would have been Tim, apply for and receive EIDL loans by providing false information or by representing the eligibility for the program. Because he would have, to that amount of money, and for the type of business that Tim had at the time, he would have had to have falsified paperwork to have gotten that big of a loan given to him. He would have, this is, potential penalties. It's a federal crime and has serious legal consequences. The penalties for the fraud can include $1 million up to $1 million in fines for the violation. You could face imprisonment for 30 years. You could pay restitution to the SBA for any funds obtained fraudulently. If they really look into that money, and the only way that they'll know is if somebody decides to report him. So if he's reported and somebody takes a look into it, I'll catch you later. Come on in. And somebody actually, does take the time to report him, and I know I unfortunately, people have said that they have reported him for this. Then he is in a lot of trouble. They're worse than attorneys. Well, the attorney, but the bankruptcy only. Well, I'm just, I'm just looking at this. Yeah. I just wanted to see what they said, just because obviously, somebody's thinking that this, but Timmy obviously thinks he's untouchable. And like I said, I don't know if anybody has reported him, because you can report people to the SBA for fraudulent loans. Here it is, if EIDL loans, fraud, where to report, and we'll finish it here. Where to report. You just go in here and let the Small Business Administration know, and they will start to investigate. Report fraud, waste, and abuse. I mean, if you've got really bored one day and you want to report Tim because you got a lot of time. I don't, unfortunately, have the time to get through all that paperwork. But if somebody does, you can report him. And he would be potentially into, best cup of coffee ever in prison. He would potentially be investigated and get into a lot of trouble. I mean, he's probably hoping, because his amount is so small, it's not like $500,000, $1.6 million, which is some really, crazy amounts of money taken. So I'm thinking he's thinking, because his amount is so small, they won't take the manpower to investigate him, and that he'll get away with it. So that's what I'm thinking is his thought, because he had to have, there is no way that his business, the way he had an oil coupon change business, and he said that he had been on the generous unemployment checks, which I'm always surprised that he was even able to get unemployment the way he was, because there were certain things about he'll sneak a last usually sorry. I just, I'm just always curious, he may get away with it because it's such a small amount, and there hasn't been enough people, looking into, he's a small amount of money, and therefore he won't be looked into by the government for any potential fraudulent activities. And if he, continues to pay on his loan each month, then they won't, hold it against him, So maybe that's what he's got in his mindset. Anyway, I appreciate you all being here. Yeah, he's got his exciting content coming our way. Yeah, it was trips to Walmart. It was trips, it was nothing exciting. But I'm always curious about what will happen there. All right, guys, let me just finish it out here. I appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to play out with my members of my community, who I'm always grateful and thankful for, who, take the time to join. And so I always appreciate that. And we'll just see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a good day.